What's up, OSIMA Ball Reviews? Keegan here, and we're changing up the format a little bit. See if I like it better, see if I like it worse. It also saves post-production time. So, I'm just being transparent here for y'all. But today we are throwing the Storm Revenant. And I've been kind of anticipating this one since March of last year, whenever the Spectre first got banned. The Spectre was the first Storm Ball that I reviewed after leaving Bowling World. And honestly, it was one of my favorites for the very short period of time. I think I literally only had it like a month and a half, then it was kaput. But that being said, the Spectre was a very good ball, and I'm really hoping the Revenant captures some of what it was able to do. But we don't really know until we get on the lane, so let's get started. Alright, so we're 6 shots in with the Revenant. Not my first 6 shots. I did throw it in League on Wednesday with the Reacting Gloss surface. I don't really consider that experience with it though, because it just it was not the best reaction. I am not a huge fan of Reacting Gloss. That is what I have learned. That's okay. This is actually serviced to 1500 grit polish. What I would normally do for polished balls is I would service it, then polish it up. So, this is 1500 grit polish, and this is the reaction I'm getting. It's longer, it's stronger, and I'm really enjoying it. But after 6 shots, that was my first miss with this new surface. I just threw it a little bit slow, a little bit inside. But as you can see, I think there's just a good bit of friction on the outside of the lane right now. So it's kind of like it's seeing it and it's starting to roll towards the pocket. Well, just like I said with the original Spectre, for a polished pearl ball, this is very, very smooth. But I'm enjoying it very much. So let's throw some more shots. So the more and more I throw it, the more it's kind of waking up, because this is a fresh surface. And I am starting to see that more traditional pearl type look of, it sees a little bit too much friction, it's going to start that jump. However, I'm fine with that. It's actually letting me get in a little bit, open up my angles. But as long as I like keep it in the oil and don't like really wrap it, it's rolling pretty good. It is really reminding me of the original Spectre with this new surface. But I feel that like on a sport shot, maybe like 3,000 or even 2,000, depending on how much hand you have, I think this ball is going to be pretty good. Keep it at the surface it currently has if you're like wanting to use for like late blocks, get in, throw it, because that core is going to really be able to get down lane along with like the overall weakness of the surface. Even though R3S isn't really that weak, it is weaker. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this ball so far. We got one more game to go, so we'll throw another 6 shots and then check back in. We are definitely starting to see more of that typical pearl get into the friction too early, or really in my case at all, and it's just going to jump. Now, I throw it slow, so that has been an issue for me in the past. That's not a really comment on the ball. It's definitely much more controllable than a lot of other shiny or even high surface things that I've thrown before. But we're gonna move in a little bit, see if we can like keep it in the oil a little bit longer and just kind of see what happens. I'm hoping that we can either get to shape a little bit more, get out further and control the entry angle that way, or I can try the fake the pocket like I have in the past couple of shots. Just try it a little bit deeper so I can actually roll it a little bit more. But let's find out. Alright, so we were definitely seeing that over-under reaction I was talking about before. If you got it into the dry or if I get it into the dry pretty much at all, that's when I start to see just jump. It's not really over and under, it's more of a over or just right. I don't really get it. I don't really see it's kind of underreaction. But what I did see was actually very useful to me. It kind of let me see where this ball was going to really end up for me. It's definitely pretty much in the same spot as the Spectre was. Like, now that it has this like 1500 grit polish surface on it versus the reactive gloss, for me it just kind of slots in right there. I'm thinking it's going to be a really good compliment to the reality check, actually, because I could say the same things about it, to where it's very similar type motion, just a lot more of it. But whenever that motion gets a little bit too torquey or a little bit, you know, too early, a little bit burned up, I feel you can move down to the Revenant from the reality check and see pretty good transition there. But the real question is, how does this ball compare to the Spectre? Let's start to find out. Alright, simply put, comparatively, the Spectre blends it a little bit more. Throwing them side by side, you feel that, you feel the softness, that 1 point, maybe total softness. You feel it. It blends the lane just a little bit. Not a ton. Not even really to where I think most people would notice. But you do notice it. Now that we've had our fun with the Spectre, I'm going to go back to the Revenant, see if I can replicate that at all. It was granted, Spectre kind of did make me throw it a little bit differently, simply because it has an old fit. Slightly different pitches in the thumb, and slightly different span of the fingers. Not a ton. I do have a very flexible hand, so it didn't affect me too much. But that may be something that's to consider. Like I said, we knew where the Revenant is now. We know where the Spectre compares. Let's see if we can bridge that gap a little bit more. The Revenant is not a one-to-one for the Spectre. I was really hoping for it, but it just really isn't. You really do feel that 1 point of hardness. That being said, I feel a lot of like the actual shape issues that come from that because of the surface change. I may keep my Revenant at 4,000 grit versus the 1,500 grit polish. I'm not really a huge fan of polish finishes anyways, except on much stronger covers, such as, you know, REX or Micro Tracks or NRG. I like polish on those types of covers because they have enough teeth built in to kind of overcome the skid snap issues and overreaction issues that I typically have with weaker covers. Now, I am not the type of person to say staple in the bag, absolute, gonna go with me everywhere. Now, if it's a solid ball or like an actual benchmark ball, then I'm going to say that because it is. Revenant is not that ball. It's not a benchmark ball. It's not something really smooth that's going to read the lane before it reads the pattern. There is stuff like that out there. The Phase 2 is popular for a reason. The Pro Motion still sells so much for a reason. The original Idol, the magenta one, they're popular for a reason. Revenant is not that ball. What I will say, however, is that it is a very usable ball, especially if you match it up to your surface preferences. I'm probably going to put mine at 4,000 grit, kind of mediate the difference between it and the Spectre, because it just doesn't blend as much, and I feel 4,000 grit will help with that. And at the end of the day, it's probably going to come with me a lot of places. Even though it may not come out, I feel it's still something I want to have in the bag, even though I may not use it all the time. Now, potential arsenal. I've been doing these, so why not do it on this one? Your one ball, go for something like controllable, maybe something diggy, not something like or rolly, not something that's gonna like chew the lane up. Because I feel if you're in at any point that you're using something that's gonna chew the lane up, you're not gonna get down to this ball. or if you do and it's not at the right surface, it's just gonna check mark. And it's not really gonna be something usable. I would say Infinite Physics, or even like a maybe an RSTX3. Reality check is not really a one ball to me, but I'd say go something like the Reality. Because the Reality, at the right surface, it's not a chewable like ball. You can get a lot of shape out of the Reality. Move down. You would want to probably go just like a big, strong, symmetric for your 2 ball. Go phase 2. Yeah, go phase 2. That's really all I can say. Then you have the Revenant as an option. Then you can move down even further into, I'd say, Hype Solid probably wouldn't look terrible as a complement to it. Maybe even hook a little bit more than it, but it would be something a little bit smoother if it's starting to get a little bit too jumpy. Or you can even go to like a Hustle. The Hustles are good balls, and they've been around so long for a reason. After that, get yourself a urethane ball. Pitch Black's my choice, and I'm going stateside. If I'm not limited to stateside, IQ Tour U. It needs to be brought stateside. Chad McClain, or anyone who works at Storm, you see this, bring the IQ Tour U stateside. It's a dang good ball. Y'all did a good job. Other than that, classic for your 6 ball if you have to have one. But yeah, that's the arsenal I would bring if I didn't know what I was going on and I wanted to make sure the Revenant had some place in the bag. And for the Hustle, I'd probably go for a Hustle camo, just to like keep it on the slightly smoother side. Or go the Hustle USA, one of the Electrifies or the Burner Pearl. Those are like actually okay options. But yeah, that's been this. Tell me if you like it, tell me if you hate it. I may actually edit this differently to have 2 different versions. We'll see if that actually happens or not. But I've been OSIMA Ball Reviews. Oh shoot, I missed again. And I really hope that I'll miss y'all next time when we may or may not be reviewing the Roto Group TMT.